Well, Ayush Badoni, we almost now have to come to expect it from you to finish a game of cool as you like, 11 of 3 or rather 10 of 3, and that one ball that he faced shouldn't even have been a proper ball. So Badoni ensures there's no unnecessary drama after a game that we thought would comfortably go Lucknow's way was made interesting. 19 of 12 at one stage, and it took Krunal Pandya to hit one to perhaps just make sure the result was going to be Lucknow's. They've picked up 3 wins in a row now, and Delhi remain with that solitary win from their first 3 games. Makes for an interesting conversation at the end of this game on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by IQ 95G with Carlos Brathwaite and Wasim Jaffer, whose halftime prediction of a super over was looking good right up until those last couple of overs. Wasim, we thought 149, that's not enough, and suddenly it looked like this was a closer game than we expected. Why was that?
Well, I think the only guy who looked, in real good touch or somebody who batted well on that on that pitch was Quinton de Kock. Once he got out, things looked a bit difficult when Huda came in and even Krunal Pandya. That 19th over probably hurt Delhi Capitals. 14 runs of that over, I think, made it easier. And the way Ayush Badoni finished it off, facing just a couple of balls and some quality shots. He looks a real talent, real find probably of this IPL so far. But yeah, Delhi looked, a team which made obviously, minus that 20-run shot. They were 20 runs short, and then tactics by probably Rishabh Pant to not bowl Akshar Patel, somebody who's only given 11 runs of his 2 overs, didn't bowl him at all after that. Surprising tactics.
Yeah, we'll come to the tactics and go deep into that in just a second. But I think we can all agree 20 short, Carlos, but it did look like batting was hard today.
Yeah, but is that age-old thing about when you get in as a batter, you go deep, um, and you talk about 20 runs short. Prithvi Shaw got 60, and Quinton de Kock got 80. So you needed that one batter, whoever that batter would have been, to go as deep as possible. Prithvi Shaw probably would be disappointed with his dismissal. Likewise, Quinton de Kock and everyone else who batted on that wicket, bar those two, really, really struggled. So yeah, I mean, probably just the difference was one player that got in got 20 more than the other player that potentially won Lucknow the game.
Yeah, fair point that. De Kock batted fairly deep into the innings. You felt even when he got out that the equation was well under control. But it's an interesting one. Wasim, you know the surfaces in these parts of the world well. DY Patil Stadium, which has seen a run fest, 420 runs in that game between Punjab and Bangalore. Now suddenly we're seeing these games look close and competitive. Can you explain today's surface?
I think it looked a bit tacky, probably from the outset. It looked like, a little bit of a tennis ball bounce. Not many batters apart from those two, Quinton and Prithvi. Nobody looked like, they were timing the ball really nicely. So it did look that, batting was a little bit difficult, without a doubt. But, it does surprise me that, you find one game where the team scores 200 runs and the other day, the team turns up and only lose 3 wickets and end up getting 150. So, it does surprise me about what's happening with the wickets.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on this surface at the DY Patil Stadium. Tomorrow there's a game at the CCI. Maybe that'll again take us back to a run fest. But very, very curious game. 149 was not as little as we thought, and it certainly wasn't as easy for Lucknow as they would have imagined. But let's look at those tactical calls that Delhi could have made. As Wasim Jaffer has already pointed at the top of his conversation, his points. Akshar Patel just the 2 overs. Kuldeep Yadav getting a 4th only after Anrik Nokia was forced out of the attack. Wasim, should they bowl more, and why do you think they didn't bowl more?
I think partly because Quinton de Kock was at the crease and probably Rishabh felt like left-arm spinner bowling to a left-hander. But that is the risk I feel, Rishabh has to take. A wicket, probably somebody going after a left-arm spinner, getting Quinton de Kock out at that point opens up the game. So that is the risk, and he's bowled those 2 overs really, really well. So why not? Does surprise me. I mean, Kuldeep Yadav only, came on to bowl because Anrik Nokia was ruled out of the attack because of the no balls. So it does surprise me. I mean, when you've got Anrik Nokia who's playing after 5 months, his first game, if he's got an off day, why you need to keep bowling him? That really surprises me.
Okay, let's come to you, Carlos, as well. Even in the first innings, we saw the spinners going for what, less than a run a ball of their 10 overs combined. And until that last wicket of Deepak Hooda, all the wickets were picked up by spin. Do you think Delhi missed a trick by not trusting Akshar and even Kuldeep to bowl out earlier in the innings?
I think it could be a combination of two things. As Wasim mentioned, captains are reluctant to bowl right hand finger spinner or spinners to right handers, and they're reluctant to bowl left arm orthodox to left handers just because that is and this word I guess comes up a lot in the last couple of years, that's the matchup that the batter would want. However, on a pitch like this, you probably had to throw the rule book out. And I would sympathize with Rishabh Pant because when he looks at his bowling lineup, he'd probably expect four from Nortje, four from Thakur, four from Fizz, four from Kuldeep, and then he has two nice options with Lalit Yadav and Akshar Patel, who between them can give him 4 overs. And the situation presented itself where you had De Kock and Evan Lewis. So as a result, Lalit Yadav came into the game a bit more bowling at two left-handers. The only way he could have potentially gotten Akshar a bit earlier and a bit more is if he, as I said, throw the rule book out the window, bowl the left arm orthodox at the two left-handers, and then maybe only ask Henrik Nortje after coming back from 5 months to bowl 2 or 3 overs and kind of work himself back into the game. But if you have a Henrik Nortje in your team, you're expecting 4 overs, 4 quality overs at pace, and he just didn't get that today.
Yeah, do you think, Wasim, further extending on Carlos's point, that perhaps today's captaincy was a lot to do with pre-match tactical discussion and not instinct? Eventually, it was Kuldeep Yadav who got Quinton de Kock. Here's a spinner who can bowl away from the left-hander too. Perhaps a little more instinct needed today?
I think so. I think you need to. I mean, you do work on the team meetings and you find those certain batters like this kind of bowling. But I think you need to be, very spontaneous with your decision on the ground. And I feel, Rishabh has missed a little bit of trick. I feel he did give 4 overs to a part timer, which is Lalit Yadav. And the wicket taking option of his, I mean, Akshar Patel is definitely a wicket taking option.
Yes.
Kuldeep probably wouldn't have bowled if Anjak Nauke wasn't ruled out of that attack. So yeah, I mean, like you said, spinners have taken the wickets, and you don't bowl your main spinners, not even in the power play, and you are still reluctant to bowl them even after the power play. Does say that he missed a beat there.
Yeah, I mean, we also saw the matchup of, if you are believing in matchups, then we saw Akshar against KL Rahul, Akshar in the power play, but we didn't see Akshar in the power play. So it makes for a very curious day tactically for Delhi. Rovman Pal at 3 and the lack of faith in Akshar Patel. But I guess on Rick Nauke, Carlos Brathwaite's point is a valid one. When you have Nauke, you want to give him 4 overs. Now, after we look at that, are you just going to sympathize with Nauke, who's playing a competitive game after 5 months, Carlos? Or how do you look at 2.2 overs of real rustiness from Hendrik Nokia?
He scares me a bit because I got a game to play after 5 months, and I hope it don't go as badly as that. Yeah, I do sympathize with him. He needed to get that first game out of the way. Unfortunately for him, this is the IPL. This is the biggest franchise tournament in the world. Is the most scrutiny, and he would come into this game with a bit of a cloud, hoping to get through it and then kind of build on it. I think this game and the performance that he's just put in, obviously bowling the two beamers and being taken out of the attack, I fear would actually set him further back mentally than he was coming into the game. So now it is a decision. He is one of your big signings or retentions, I think it were. He's one of the guys that you want to build your bowling attack around. How can you get at Henrik Nortje fit enough and firing enough that if Delhi does qualify, that he's now peaking into the tournament to get them all the way through the playoffs? Because I think that as a franchise, that is how you have to plan. How do we get to the playoffs firstly? But there will be some players who either lose form or struggling with niggles. How do we get them fit and firing and peaking at the right time? And I think that's the biggest question that would come out of today's game for the Delhi Capitals.
Wasim, if you look at how Hendrik Nokia bowled today, would you be looking and saying maybe Delhi have rushed his comeback? Perhaps he wasn't match ready, or is that harsh?
He was always going to be, short of match practice. There's no doubt about it. No matter how much practice you do, how much you bowl in intra-squad match, when you come against, in front of the crowd in an IPL situation, you always find yourself, under pressure. So that was expected. But obviously, somebody as good as Andy Eknoke, you would expect he would give you 4 overs. If he doesn't pick you wickets, at least he won't go for, those many runs. So they will be disappointed. But I think as the games progress, I feel he's going to get better. But yeah, I mean, that is going to be a concern. Somebody like Pat Cummins, who just come in from that Pakistan tour and from that jet lag, and the way he's performed, I think Warner and Henry Eknoke will be disappointed that they didn't, show up today.
I think they prefer the MCA Stadium in Pune, or at least the pitch we saw last night that Cummins was having an absolute field day on. Now, before I leave you two, I do want to ask you one thing. If you just try and think back at this game, what was the most decisive period of play that you think decided it? Because it's a funny one. Without any exceptional performance, if I can say that fairly, Carlos, without any individually exceptional performance, we've seen a game of cricket today which has gone Lucknow's way, which has gone nearly to the 40th over. So where do you think this game was decided?
Personally, it was decided that Henrik Nortje over to Quinton de Kock. I felt as though that set Quinton de Kock off, gave him a bit of momentum that he needed, allowed him to really motor on. And in my opinion, the game came down to two batters. The only two batters who got in on the wicket, Prithvi Shaw and Quinton de Kock. Quinton de Kock got 80, Prithvi Shaw got 60, and as a result, you always felt at half time as though Delhi were 20 runs short. And that over, I think, really oiled the gears of Quinton de Kock. So if I had to put it down to one moment, it would be the Henrik Nortje over to Quinton de Kock.
Interesting that, and Prithvi Shaw was dismissed at the 8th over. De Kock batted twice that time till the 16th, so puts Carlos's point in perspective. Let me ask Wasim as well, if you could pick a period of play or at least an individual moment where you felt like, yeah, that's where this game's decided, because it was a game till even the 18th over, Wasim in the chase.
Yeah, I think I'll pick two moments. I would say sending Roman Powell at 3. I think that was very decisive. Something that went wrong for Delhi Capitals. They've absolutely got it wrong. Sarfaraz should have come with the kind of start Prithvi had given. Had Sarfaraz came there and batted against the spinners, he would have done much better job. And then having that power of Roman Powell at the back end of the innings, they would have easily got 20-25 more. And probably not, trusting the spinners to bowl in the middle overs. I feel that was, was a big mistake. I think somewhere I feel Rishabh Pant has to trust his main bowlers. I mean, when you are defending a total which is below par, sometimes you have to bowl your best bowlers in the critical situation, and that's something which he hasn't done today.
All right. Thank you very much to Wasim Jaffer and Carlos Brathwaite. Before I send them off, though, let's have a look at the Maruti Suzuki Driving School poll of the day. And we'd asked you, Uli, the most sixes in tonight's match between Lucknow and Delhi. As it turns out, there weren't a lot of sixes hit, 2 apiece from Prithvi Shaw and Rishabh Pant in the Delhi innings. And you then had 2 from Quinton de Kock and 1 apiece from Rahul, Krunal Pandya and not so little Ayush Badoni towards the end. So you got a lot of ties in that. So quite a few of you would have won if you did go for Rishabh Pant. Well done. And we'll keep coming up with the Maruti Suzuki Driving School poll of the day through the IPL. So get busy before the match if you want to try and participate. All right, that's it from Carlos and Wasim and myself. We'll see you tomorrow. Another good game, Punjab and Gujarat. So join us after 7 in India if you're watching on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by iQOO 95G. Good night.